Hello, and I think we are now live. So welcome everybody who's watching this. And this is really for two groups of people. Everybody. Okay, I'm getting feedback now, so I should probably take that out. So it's been a little while since I've done lives, and I'm just going to put the headphones in so I don't get feedback there. But that suggests that this is working. And as I was saying, it's for two groups of people. But before I go into that, I want to say the topic here is about learning to learn from our mistakes, learning to get comfortable with our mistakes. The group which I host every week is called the Professional English Mastermind. And this is because it's for people who want to use English professionally in their jobs, in their careers. It doesn't mean that everybody speaks English at the professional level. That may be the aim, but the topic was about making mistakes, and it was one of the most interesting topics which we've had in a while. So to come back to the groups, some of you are in my group already. You'll know who I am. And today I'm going to recap what we discussed yesterday, and we're going to go through the questions, see what I learned as well. But for those of you who may be new to me, who don't know what I do, I am an English coach. I work with people one-to-one, but I also work in this group. I host this group, and I think it's a wonderful place for people to practice their English in a safe space. So you may be thinking, I want to speak English more. I want to practice with other people, but I'm worried. I'm scared. I don't know what it's going to be like. So I understand you. And yesterday we had a new member to the group, and he shared how he felt, and I thought that was really powerful. So let's go into the questions first of all. The first question was about how the fear of making mistakes can hold us back. And I think most people can relate to this. Even now, doing this live, I'm a little bit nervous, but if I allow this to stop me putting my message across, then it's going to stop. It's going to defeat the purpose. And yesterday in the group, one of the new members felt a little bit like this, but it didn't stop him from joining the group, from speaking, from getting involved. And I think it's quite clear, fear of making mistakes can keep us in our comfort zone. It can make us not want to step out across and to do new things, to try new things out. And that's one of the main purposes of the group that we have every week, that you are free to make mistakes in a safe environment where, yes, you'll get feedback for those mistakes, but you won't get any judgment and anybody pointing or laughing at you. So the next question was about the benefits of embracing mistakes. And before I start answering this question, I want to repeat what somebody said, which I thought was really powerful. They said, when you're giving a topic, when you're giving a speech, when you're in any situation where you do feel a bit nervous, it can be a very powerful thing to share that with your audience. And it does two things which I think are really powerful. The first one is it relaxes everybody in the room. By being honest about how you feel, people then tend to get on your side. So they will be cheering you on. So you have, first of all, it relaxes you and the audience, and then people get on your side. So it's worth doing that and keeping that in mind, I think. And the benefits of embracing mistakes as opportunities. This whole topic came from a podcast episode that I was watching with a guy called Jay Shetty, who you may have heard of. And he was talking to his guest, and actually, no, he wasn't. Sorry, he was just giving these reasons. It was all about how we can get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And one which stood out for me, which really struck me, was this one which he made an analogy about falling over in a public place. I think we can all relate to this, probably all done it before, or if not fallen over completely, then probably stumbled. So you know what it's like when you trip up or you think you're going to fall down and people are around, and the first thing that you do is make sure that nobody has seen you. If they have seen you, you tend to make light of it. You might brush yourself down, smile embarrassingly or nervously, and move on. And the last thing that you'll worry about then is what happened? Have you hurt yourself? Jay called it the wound. You won't look at the, is there any pain? So, it's quite an important, it's a really key thing to do that, to say, okay, yes, to get more comfortable making mistakes. And if you can do that, you can think about, okay, I made a mistake. What happened here? What went wrong? Can I improve that? Can I learn from this? Rather than just getting completely overwhelmed with this feeling of embarrassment or fear. So that was another powerful thing, and that's I think the benefits, once you do embrace the mistakes, then you can see that it's a learning journey, and you know that mistakes are actually often the best teachers for us. When it comes to learning languages, you know, it's important to do that. And for me as well, doing this thing, I'm sure I've made a few mistakes, so I'm going to learn from this process as well. And the next question was about shifting our mindset from fearing mistakes to embracing them as valuable tools. And I touched upon that just then. And it's easier said than done, I know, but I think taking small steps and listening to podcasts, listening to other people who have done that, being inspired by their examples. And that's another great benefit of the group, in that people say how they feel, other people give them encouragement, and compliment them. And this whole mindset then starts to shift, I think. It's a gradual process, but it's one that can happen. And once it does happen, then it starts to compound and you start to feel the benefits more and more. The next question here was about the role of language coaches and communities. So I was saying, in the community, people are very supportive. Also, it's my job as a language coach to give you the right balance of challenging you to push yourself a little bit, but also allowing yourself to get comfortable. First of all, that's the most important thing I do, to be comfortable, to then set some goals, to move towards them, and then to experiment with new things. And I think that's really a key part of my job. What I do with people is get them confident with me, first of all, and then they can practice, they can experiment, they can build their confidence and take that into other situations, professional situations. Maybe it's a job interview, maybe it's a key meeting, or you've got to negotiate with people, or you're giving presentations. All of these situations can suddenly add on the pressure, especially if you're working in a second language, in English in this case. Then we've got, how can we apply the concept of embracing mistakes beyond language learning to other areas of our lives? And we didn't really look at this one yesterday. We didn't have much time, or we were more focused on the other questions around language learning. But this can, of course, apply to you in other areas of your life. And we're quite happy to talk about these things. And that, again, is one point of the group, the Professional English Mastermind group, is that we often talk about different topics, which at times you'll even forget that the first reason you came was to practice your English, because we're focused on discussing a topic, and you can learn things about that as well. You can expand your mind. I know that I'm always learning in these group topics as well. So I'd be interested to hear what you think about that, and if you have any comments and anything else that you think, do let me know in that about that. Okay, and then we just had some personal experiences and stories, and people shared their stories in there, and that's one of the best things when you're in the group. You get to share things which have happened to you. I know also in my case, learning languages, I've recently recorded a podcast with John Fotheringham on the language mastery show, and that's coming out in a couple of weeks. And I'll put a link to that below when it comes out. But I was talking to him about my journey with, first of all, with French and then with Thai, and also with other languages, although we didn't talk about that so much. But, you know, these, for me, coming here to Thailand at first, for example, and learning a little bit very quickly, but then trying to use what I know to have a very broken conversation, it can be quite a painful experience. But once you get through that, you might then get to another level, maybe the intermediate, and to break through, you then need to challenge yourself some more. And for me at the moment, it might be making videos in time, producing them, and that's suddenly going to raise the stakes, as John put it in our interview. It's going to challenge you, and you're going to have that motivation to improve, to be the best that you can. And that doesn't mean that we have to be perfect. This was another theme that came up in yesterday's discussion. One of the members talked about being perfect, perfectionism, wanting to be perfect and, not being satisfied. And I get that, but perfection can be the enemy of progress at times. And I sometimes compare this perfection as a horizon that we're moving towards. We might never get there. You might never speak a language as a native speaker does. Probably won't, because those people have a lifetime of experience and culture behind them. But it doesn't really matter. And that was another thing we got into in yesterday's discussion. But for now, I'm going to move on to the next question: the role of technology and language and learning apps facilitating mistake-driven learning. So this is one thing we didn't cover yesterday. I suppose it makes me think there's one app that I know that I use, which is very good for consistency and gamification. And it does also track mistakes that you make. And the app is Duolingo. You may be familiar with this app. And it's useful for those things. It does have its drawbacks, the disadvantages. I think compared to putting yourself in other situations, such as the discussion group or one-to-one coaching, it's not as powerful as that, but it definitely has these benefits. And when it comes to my coaching approach and mistakes, I do give feedback, and there's three main methods that I can do that. One is on the spot, instantly correcting you or giving you another way, an alternative way of expressing yourself. Or I can wait till you finish the sentence and then come back with an alternative. Or I can give you a summary of some things to work on at the end of a session. And I won't try and pick up on every single thing, but I will just use my experience to give you the right level of feedback, of things to work on, so that you can improve. All right. And the last thing was about brainstorming creative ways to celebrate mistakes and make them fun. It might sound a bit strange. Why celebrating mistakes? But I think it's a great thing to do. And I'm just going to have a look now and see if there's any comments that we've got from a Facebook user. Okay, it's not quite showing the comments. Let me see if I can pick them up over here. Okay, so I can't pick them up now. This is probably due to my inexperience, so that I will learn a better way to do that. But yeah, maybe if you do have any questions or any comments, I'll hang around now for a couple of minutes. I'll check my phone as well to make sure. And if you're watching on replay as well, let me know. Let me know what you think about this, if anything's been useful, if you have any questions, and I will get back to you in the chat. So okay, I can't see any questions for now, but if I do, and if I've missed them, then apologies for that, and I'll get back to you in the chat. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you want to join my group, or if you want to speak to me about one-to-one coaching or anything, if you need my help, you can get in touch on any of the platforms that you're watching on. And I will put some links in below as well. And I think that's it for today. So thanks for watching. Have a great Sunday. See you guys later. Bye for now.